1 year ago, thousands of Nicaraguans, mostly students, demonstrated in the streets of Managua and Masaya to protest a pension reform law that reduced payments for retirees and increased workers' contributions. The protests continued for days, and violent clashes with police left more than 300 people dead, according to the Inter-American Commission on Human Rights. Several independent media outlets were burned to the ground or suppressed, and more than 600 political prisoners are still being held, says the commission. Washington has called on the Nicaraguan government to move up elections as a way out of the crisis, but President Ortega has said that he will serve out his term, which ends in 2021, leading the U.S. to impose sanctions. In a recent VOA interview, U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo warned that more sanctions are on the way for the Ortega government.
Our efforts in Nicaragua are very similar to those in Venezuela. We want the Nicaraguan people to have all the great things that they're entitled to have and that they so desperately want. And Mr. Ortega and his wife both need to change their ways in order to give Nicaragua that very opportunity.
The continuing socioeconomic crisis in Nicaragua has affected the economy, especially tourism. Experts say that more than 600,000 tourists stopped visiting the country. In the city of Catarina, Jose Castillo makes handmade furniture and lamps to sell to tourists.
Closing this business means that my family will die. They depend on it. If this business closes, we are doomed.
More than 400,000 people have lost their jobs over the past year, according to a study conducted by a Nicaraguan think tank. Meanwhile, numerous talks between the opposition and the government have failed. The opposition blames the government for the breakdown of the latest negotiation session.
When we have guarantees and political will, we will return to finish those two important points which are pending: democracy and the guarantee of a transparent and fair presidential election.
But Ortega says that opposition is at fault for not allowing enough time for the talks.
We have to take into consideration external factors that always have an influence in these types of negotiations.
For now, there appears to be no end to Nicaragua's crisis. Meanwhile, some observers describe Nicaragua as a police state, where anyone taking part in the protest can be jailed. Cristina Caicedo Smit, VOA News, Washington.